2.5 months ago, a gaping security vulnerability in the operating systems of this nation's smartphones was exploited by the now infamous March Madness application. Now, federal government and industry officials believe this same application is shutting down the nation's cellular phone network.
The president wants to know how bad the situation is likely to get and what we are doing to get our telecommunications system back to normal as quickly as possible.
This is in the industry what we call a bot attack. Once loaded on a smartphone, this software will send that virus, that malware, that malicious software to every person that's in that directory. I would not be surprised if this number jumps well beyond the 20 million already affected, because this is sort of like too many people trying to get onto or off of a highway at exactly the same time. The arteries simply clog up.
I just got a note saying that reports are coming in from all over the world indicating that the effects of this attack are not limited to users in the United States.
I am much more troubled about the contagion effects that have been alluded to. If this gets into our internet, as seems likely, we have a major crisis. So I think a lot of our attention ought to be focused on is there an ability to quarantine this problem before it spreads.
We don't have the authority in this nation to, as a government, to quarantine people's cell phones. So we're in uncharted territory right now.
I'm actually shocked to hear that we don't have this authority. If this was someone with smallpox wandering through the Super Bowl, we would have the authority to quarantine them. And if we don't have the authority, the Attorney General ought to find it.
But I've just been told there's an important new development, and we'll put the news on the monitor so we can get up to date.
Welcome back to GNN and our continuing coverage of what officials have now deemed an aggressive cyber attack on U.S. communication infrastructure. As the nation's telecommunications network continues to suffer from widespread outages, the country's internet system is now slowing down to a virtual crawl. Communications with financial trading houses are almost at a standstill. Reservation systems for the airlines and other transportation systems have slowed or are not working at all. News outlets and bloggers are reporting that their systems are ceasing to function, and emails are taking hours to reach their destination. Meanwhile, GNN has confirmed that US authorities have traced the origins of this attack to a series of computer servers in the Russian city of Irkutsk. That information has fueled outrage on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers are calling on the president to press Moscow for information on the level of state involvement in the attack.
Do have this report about Russian servers. If it should turn out to be the case that we can identify the attacker, and if the attacker is either a state actor or a terrorist group, what are our options for retaliation?
Unlike a conventional arena where you can locate an army and you can attribute it to a state, we may locate this attack in some country, but citizens of another country could be using that location, that building in that city to carry out this attack. So at this point, I don't think we have the data to, with confidence, assign attribution.
I am in the same point of hesitation in concluding that this is an act of the Russians as John was earlier. And I think we need to look at the effect on the United States and put ourselves on a war footing.
I look at this map and it reminds me of 5 Category 5 hurricanes coming at the United States, and we're looking at how we're going to retaliate against the Gulf of Mexico. That is down the road. What it seems to me what we should be focused on, and what serves the president here, is wide-scale public panic.
Welcome back to breaking news coverage on GNN, where in addition to the attacks on the nation's telecommunications infrastructure that we have been covering all day, we are also now receiving alarming reports of significant and growing power outages in major metropolitan areas in the eastern half of the United States.
You're likely to have lights going off in hospitals before long. Air traffic controllers depend on the internet. Our economy does in financial transfers. So I think even if we still don't know precisely the motives of the people doing this, we know this has a major impact on national security.
The effect is an act of war. You turn off everybody's cell phone, you don't allow them to bank, work, communicate. This is an attack on the United States. It may not be a bomb, but it's much more significant than a bomb going off.
We are now in a solid military response mode, and really the person who's going to run that is the commander of NORTHCOM, with DHS now supporting them.
This is one of those moments before you walk into the Oval Office where you're going to have to be willing to tell the president, this is a course of action that is bold but may get you in trouble after the fact.
In times of extreme stress, presidents have acted without regard to the law and gone to Congress immediately and said, this is what I've done.
The solution that we have come to in terms of our authorities is to say Article 2 of the Constitution, which is the equivalent of saying we're going to impose martial law on the country in order to achieve the goals that we want. That's equivalent of saying, well, we can go to war as long as we only use nuclear weapons.
Well, listen, I appreciate everybody's advice. I'm going to sum up kind of my takeaway on this before I go into the Oval Office. We're going to live with this for as many years as we can foresee. There seemed to be a surprising amount of uniformity in taking very aggressive, vigorous action, but I think also a sense that it would be important very quickly thereafter to get the public to buy into it. What the president needs to do and say is, I am raising the alert level for the U.S. military. We are concerned that we are under attack. We are federalizing the National Guard. We are taking our regular military and we are deploying them to protect the infrastructure. Well, thank you for your dedication, and the wealth and the wisdom of your experience has been very manifest, and I'm pleased to have been a colleague of yours. Thanks very much.
Over 60 million cell phones are now out of service, and even landlines in some parts of the country are being overloaded. The internet is unusable in many parts of the nation, and the power outages that started almost an hour ago continue to spread across the eastern part of the country. Of equal concern are the questions almost everyone is asking, questions which don't seem to have readily accessible answers. Who is doing this and why? How do we stop this? How do we defend ourselves? And most frightening of all, what is next? Is this it, or are more attacks coming?